First thing I'd like to do is thank the Wells Fargo team. I see them right in front of me, but in particular, Candy Moore and Daryl Harmon. Thank you guys. You lead our relationship with Operation Hope every day, and it means so much. Then I'd like to say a word about our host, John Hope Bryant, and this is a personal privilege, so let me just say, I love to tell stories, and my favorite story about John and I is how we met. It was over 10 years ago, and he wanted me to get to learn more about Operation Hope, and so did I. So I had kind of a strange request of John. I said, here's what I'll do. I'd be happy to go to one of your sites, and I think I went to a Bank of the West, which was pretty hard for a Wells Fargo guy, but I went to one of the Bank of the West locations, and I said to John, let me talk to the team for an hour first, and then you can come in and we can talk after the fact. So I went in and met with the Operation Hope team for an hour, and by the time John arrived, I didn't even need to meet John, candidly, because I was completely convinced in what Operation Hope was all about. So John, I hope I didn't offend you in 2008 by asking to see your team first, but I have to tell you, they won my hearts over. So, John, I want to thank you for bringing us all together today and sharing your light on people, families, and communities around the world. We know that helping people move out of their financial situation, especially when it's poverty, and move towards economic sustainability is really important. And I know one of the topics of the conference that's a real passion for me is the addition of equity to our work. I know this country has been focused on diversity and inclusion for a number of years, but the fact that we're all beginning to actually look at what are those actual core equity issues that are continuing to allow the disproportionality in people across the country is really important. And so I'm thrilled that you've brought that forward, John, and I want you to know that it's a passion that's growing for me, and I hope Wells Fargo can do its part. So there are lots of things going on at the conference, but I just stepped away from the breakout session on affordable housing, and it really caught my attention, and I wanted to talk about affordable housing anyway, so I'm just going to make a couple of quick comments. And I want to put some facts in the room that many of you probably know, but I think it's important all of us come to grips with the status of the lack of affordable housing in this country. Every major metropolitan area in the United States and rural markets have a severe shortage of affordable housing. So I think we have a demand of over 7 million units in this country for affordability. That's a huge challenge we should all take on. We look at one of the measures of what is affordable, and usually we look at it by the cost burden of housing. It's shocking to me that over 18 million people in this country pay over 50% of their income for housing every month. And nearly 50% pay more than a third of their income per month. And I think we all know what that means. That means that those families are forced to take a number of significant trade-offs, and they trade off things like food, healthcare, and education. Definitely, that further leads to many downstream issues in their financial health lives. So frankly, for this country to step forward and realize the importance of this crisis is really important. Now I'll tease you a bit. Next Wednesday, I'll be at the Innovation Summit in Los Angeles, and I'm going to give a discussion on housing affordability. So if you're interested in the topic, please stay tuned, and next Wednesday, you'll hear more about what Wells Fargo wants to do around helping in housing affordability. So let me just say this. None of us can solve these complex societal issues by ourselves. And those of us who have capital, we know that you can't solve complex societal problems by your checkbook alone either. And so seriously, we all need to come together. We all need new ideas and solutions to lift people out of poverty and revitalize, invigorate, and transform our local economies. This is only going to happen if we all come together. And so that's why I'm so proud of our work with Operation Hope. We know that Operation Hope's leadership and deep connections in our communities, along with our expertise and capital and all the rest of us, can actually help create dignity and opportunity for those who need it most. So it's great to be here. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye, everybody.
You know, no good deed shall go unpunished. Success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Rainbows only follow storms. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. It wasn't the charismatic John F. Kennedy that changed civil rights. It was President Johnson, who had an interesting reputation, not very well understood. But this man who worked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and my mentor, Andrew Young, who held their last meeting, I keep saying, in this ballroom in 1967, they passed 4 pieces of historic legislation. You don't know who your friends are going to be. Make friends everywhere. I've had a relationship with Wells Fargo that has gone back since the founding of Operation Hope. They were our first corporate grant in 1992. We pioneered financial literacy together with our Banking on Our Future program and your hands-on banking program. But none of that is why I'm here. Because of Daryl Harmon, Candy Moore, John Campbell, and people whose names will never be mentioned because they work behind the scenes, the first founding grant, listen now, for this crazy little idea called the Hope Global Forum, when I could get money from nowhere else, a $250,000 grant on my idea alone, my passion alone, came from this man and Wells Fargo. And for that, on his retirement, I am saying thank you with the John Campbell Hope Longstanding Partner Award as a surprise to him as he goes off into his retirement. Thank you, John Campbell.